Hello and welcome to The Resourceful Woman. Today I am going to show you a little thing that I have worked on and off over the years. It's how to make cat treats, or just generally pet treats, out of old discarded chicken carcass or whatever kind of bones and gristle that you happen to be left with. This came about for me because you can't compost things like bones and meat and gristle, and I don't particularly want to throw them out in the trash if they can still be of use to a nice little furry friend somewhere. As a general rule, I will often leave a carcass out just outside my door at night. Excuse me, hello. I will leave a carcass outside my door at night for the foxes, particularly in spring when the mama vixens have their little pups. I figure they would all pretty much, love a nice fresh bit of chicken bone and meat and everything that kind of goes with that. So yeah, I will often just kind of give it back to whatever little critters happen to be in the neighborhood. But today I'll show you a really simple, I say simple, this process does take couple of hours, I would say. In the video that I'm about to show you, I ground up 2 chicken carcasses and turned them into little bite-sized treats, and the whole process start to finish took about 2 to 3 hours. Generally what I'll do after we've finished dinner is wrap up the meat and the bones and whatever's left and just stick it in the freezer until such time as I kind of feel like doing this. And then the most important tool that I have for this is one of these old-fashioned antique meat grinders. I grew up with one of these in my house. It was essential every Thanksgiving for making cranberry relish and grinding up all of the cranberries and apples and everything together to make a really nice relish. But it is also really, really good for grinding up meat and bones. It's this kind of heavy iron contraption, and you can generally find these still online at antique stores, thrift shops, even people's yard sales. I think the one I have came from a yard sale. So have a look around. They all pretty much look like this, and they're extremely easy to use. There's no electricity, no motor or anything involved. It's just using your own bodily strength to turn the crank. So yeah, it's just exactly as you see here. You feed the bones and the meat and everything through this little grinder, and it comes out the other side as this nice kind of chewed up soft sludge, really. I do enjoy having my cats on hand to help with the cleanup anytime any of it falls on the floor. And then as well, I do have a problem that this grinder will get stopped up, like all the tissue and sinew will tend to get stuck, and every once in a while I have to take it apart and poke through all of the little holes and get it unstuck again. But yeah, in this particular thing, I was grinding up 2 chicken carcasses. You can do this with, your leftover turkey at Thanksgiving or Christmas, or with any kind of bone and meat scraps that you have from dinner. If you, go out to a restaurant and you have a doggy bag, but you don't actually have a dog, or if you have a dog, but you're worried about it choking on little small fine bones, this is all a really great thing to do. And I have also experimented. I originally did this years ago, going by recipes that I found online that were like, oh, put in some flour, put in some egg, put in some catnip, do this, do that. And actually my cats really don't prefer all that extra stuff. They just, you can see by the way that they go after just the little gristle that falls to the floor. Like, they just want the chicken. They just want the, natural meat. And so I've decided to just make it this really simple way. As well, there's something you should consider, like if your dog or cat is of a delicate constitution, You might not want to do this with meats and carcasses that have a lot of seasoning and sauce and herbs and spices and salt and pepper. That stuff might not be good for them. So you've really got to use your own judgment as to, what you want them to be eating. For me, often when I cook a chicken, I don't even season it anymore. I don't even do any like lemon juice or thyme or anything like that. I just cook the chicken in its own juices. I baste it a bunch with its own fat and just leave it at that. So it always comes out really nice and really moist. And I don't think it really needs the extra seasoning. But if you are thinking of using like a turkey from Thanksgiving or Christmas, do consider what you've put into it and whether you want to be passing that along to your little pet friend. So yes, on to the kind of final stage. I take all this gristle and just roll it up into these little balls, and I feel through the balls as I'm going for any kind of sharp bits of bone. Obviously the bone has all cracked up and been ground up through the meat grinder, but occasionally I'll come across little sharp shards of it, and I don't want that getting stuck in anyone's throat, so I pull those bits out. And so it's really important to do this step by hand. This is the most time-consuming part. It takes ages to make all these tiny little bite-sized balls, but I love my cats and it's worth it. And then finally I put the oven on to a kind of a low heat, like about 140 or 150 Celsius, and I put them on baking sheets with some parchment paper lining, and then just bake them for like an hour, hour and a half, maybe even go so far as 2 hours, just enough so that they are fully dried out. I'll tell you that previous times when I've made these, I didn't dry them completely. I still left some of the moisture in, and so they went moldy really quickly. But if you fully dry them out to where they're like crispy little crackers, they're they won't go off. They'll preserve exactly as they're supposed to be. I have not added any salt or any preservatives or anything, but there's no kind of mold or ickiness that has shown up after making these. So I think they're perfectly fine. These 2 chicken carcasses made this one giant jar of treats that I just keep near the cat food and dispense whenever my little furry friends are being particularly good one day. So some pets like them more than others, some not so much. One friend of mine pointed out to me that they might not always be so into it because these don't have all the like salt and seasoning and preservatives and stuff that a lot of like commercial pet treats do. So they might even have to get used to it a little bit. But anyway, this is one way to avoid putting meat and bones and everything into the garbage and actually upcycle them into something nice for your furry little pet friend. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you have not already. And check me out. I'm also on Facebook, where I talk a lot about sustainability issues and good ideas that are happening around the world. And on Instagram, I mostly share stuff that just doesn't really get filmed, knitting and baking and that sort of thing. So I hope to see you again soon, and take care. Bye-bye.